Let's talk a bit about, we didn't do it last week, LTA. Because already they were the source, before we even get to it, of some of the drama. You might have seen, look, he was doing it partly comedically, but you probably saw, because there was this whole discourse, Mark Z was commenting on it, Captain Flowers made a video, there's this whole thing about lane swaps, right? Where the joke Captain Flowers was making, hey, you know what? He's a little bit... If you don't know him, he's like a farm boy. He's a kind of a simple guy. You know what I mean? He's the kind of guy you'd drink a really big beer with and watch a game and go, hell yeah, America. He isn't the guy I'd go, can you do my taxes for me? You know what I mean? I wouldn't go that far. That's being polite, actually. I don't know why he's talking shit to me. Fuck him. But basically, he tried to do a thing where it was like lane swaps suck because then you don't get to see the person against the other top laner. You have to see them in a weird swap. And then that's not why I watch League of Legends for, all these arguments, right? And then his joke was, 2v2 in the bot lane is red-blooded American League of Legends. Now, there's two things that are hilarious about that aspect, which is that, one, anyone who knows the history of League of Legends knows the reason why NA couldn't compete, even though they had the best teams in the world, against EU at Season 1 Championship, is because EU pioneered the bot lane meta of 2v2. And NA still thought you could play one player there, like the mid laner sometimes, and they thought that was how the game was played. So one, hilarious. Problem is, he was probably like 11 years old, picking up a hay bale with a fucking piece of straw at his mouth going, yeehaw, when the fucking king come, pa? I can't, oh, he throws the hay bale, there's another 4 hay bales back there, it's fucking straw, he's burning a straw man with his, the brand comes in with, he's probably doing some shit like that, who the fuck knows? So anyway, the point is he didn't know that. And then secondly, I'll just put this out there. Do you want to know who 2 of the most influential Western figures ever are for lane swap, my dude, Captain Flowers? I'll give you another lesson. You weren't there. You might be watching as a fan on Twitch TV. So it goes with probably ad block, you wanker. I'm just blaming it for shit he hasn't done now. That's not even true. Who knows? But by the way, we all had ad block back in the day. Right? Maybe some of us still do. Who knows? I'm not caught. You can't compel me to speak. I plead the fifth in your country, the United States of America. So there's 2 details. Monte Cristo, if you don't know, when he coached CLG, they lane swap all day long, mate. They basically broke the game at one point in time where it was like the push 2 towers thing at the top thing. They lane swap all day long to the point that, like, they could just win the whole game off it when the draft was wrong. And then the person he used to implement that and kept it going in League was Afromoo. Afromoo was one of the best ever at knowing when to do that shit on the map and when to split that. He could do it. So even though it came as a joke, I do think they're hitting a bigger topic here. I think some people don't like lane swaps. I think that's why it got taken out the game in the first place. I think Riot thinks it's not good because you'll never see it in solo queue. People can't coordinate it. What are your thoughts on the lane swaps? Are you pro? Are you against? What do you think of this discussion?
I do think that it comes at a cost in the sense that I do think that we are enabled to play more bot lane matchups because I do think it turned into degeneracy at some point in terms of making the bot lane matchups winning. Like I don't think it's super interesting to see League of Legends games where you play Varus and Ashe against Kalista. Like I can't think of like some crazy lane support like Pantheon or whatever, like something just such a deep cut, because that was also degeneracy, right? It's like this was what like T1 was playing, and it was just all about just skewing yourself so hard into winning the bot lane matchup, and you just didn't care about anything else because of just the impact it had on the rest of the game. I am happy that that is no longer the case because it carries a lot more risk because you need to be in the matchups. But the cost of that, of course, is that top lane is now, it's like, oh, you need to be a bulky champion that functions in low economy and high economy, and you need to be able to survive dives, and you need to just be kind of OP in the sense that you are useful in any case. It's like Jace only functions now because he has a tank build, right? So he can get away with itemizing specifically for more situations, which makes the counters for Jace not as apparent, because in the past it was like, oh, the enemy team has Jace, we can just skew our composition to like Malphite and Ornn and go 20 CS behind and be fine because he's going to be just another target for us, but that is just not the case anymore. So for me, it just comes at the price. I do miss, the plain old, the 1v1s with the deep counters, like Zeus doing that. It's like seeing Zeus winning the World Championship last year and the way he did is very boring in comparison to the previous year, because the previous year it was all about the counter picks, like the Yone into the Aatrox, and he was always just like a little bit ahead on the meta with his Aatrox picks and his Gwen picks and so forth, and that is just not the part of the game anymore. So you just have kind of pick your poison. I do think that if there is a very simple solution. It's like they could just make the top lane XP and mid lane XP, like the first 3 minutes, you get less if you share XP.
You need
and
to
then
have
it's
solo
gone.
learners.
It's just gone. Like, so swapping is just gone completely. And the variant of it would just come at such a great cost experience-wise that it just wouldn't be worth it. They could remove it. But now in the current state with the turrets being stronger, like that's a key difference, made it so much easier to do lane swapping. Because I think that's always Riot's focus. They want to make the aspects of the game that are there just easy. Like they made team fighting more approachable with the map changes. Now they made lane swapping much easier because there's literally only 2 variants. There's like the hard swap with the late invade where you attack the enemy camps and then the enemy needs to split map and dive you, or you take the camps on your side and it's a soft swap and you play the defensive game into, of course, just defending your top lane under the turret. So they've made it easier, but where I fall on the question, I guess it kind of depends on what players play. Like I've been in Zeus or in the lobby, I'm fucking sick of lane swaps. But if we have like bot lane players that are capable of playing Twitch or whatever, and they can kind of get through the hard parts of the game just so we see new elements and another layer, that makes me happy. So I'm kind of torn. I'm split. It just depends on the players for me. And currently, if I think about the pool of players, probably I'm more excited to see crazy AD carry play and crazy super play, because in the end, there's 2 down there. Where do you fall on this, Thorin?
The problem is, this is where me and Monty are quite aligned, actually. I always want every esports game to contain a multitude of styles. I don't want one to be super overtuned so everyone just plays one. I want it to be where, like, for example, one thing I used to love about old League of Legends before the Dragons, where they made the Elemental Dragons, was you had a choice. So in North America, they only ever played 5v5 front-to-back team fight and went to Baron. But if you were in Europe and you had Nuke Doc, fucking Wonder, Perks, you played side lane, you used pressure, you could now win on the map with a different draft, you could win without a matchup in the middle that wins. You just have to get that champion to the point where it can put the pressure on, and you can even sometimes, if you have like Mythi, etc. on your team, you can win with just taking towers, mate, and just sort of like let the game win for you. Because as the classic quote I will always re-quote from 2012, Chauster said this, the old CLG support, he said, League of Legends is not a game about like kills and something like gold or something. I think he said something like it's a game of minions, minion waves and turrets. And if you understand that, you will know that it's not just like fight and then whoever wins the team fight wins the game. It's not just smash the lane and then win the game. No, it's like, how do you use the minion pressure? How do you relieve the pressure? How do you like cause someone to have a fight where they think it's like an even fight because we both back off, but I took the tower, and I keep doing that. And over time, if you ever actually go and watch when TSM plays Frost at Season 2 Worlds, this happens. TSM has loads of kills. They keep upping kills. They just keep losing all their towers. And at the end of the game, it's sort of like, fuck, how did we lose? Like, I thought we were in this. It's like, yeah, because where you fought, even if you'd won that last team fight, you wouldn't have won the map because they had all their towers up and you had all yours down. There was a layer of League of Legends you didn't understand. So I want there to be multiple styles available. I say the same thing in Counter-Strike. Look, I love when a superstar player in Counter-Strike is just locked in and he's like, just get the fuck out my, it's like Michael Jordan, give me the ball, get the fuck out my way, let me do this. And he just eviscerates the opposing team. So I want you to be able to play a brawly shooting style with firepower emphasized, but I don't want tactical play to go away. I want the team out there that doesn't even have the best players, but they have such a fucking sick way of playing together. The calls are on point. They're reading the game like a quarterback, conditioning the opponent to set up the deep ball, as it were. I love that too. I want both to exist though, because I think they actually play off each other very, very well. Same with MMA. In the early days of UFC, for real, they used to have the ref stand fucking fighters up who were wrestlers and jiu-jitsu people who were working and were going to get a sub or win the round because they were like, this is boring, the crowd's booing. It's like, all you're doing is making it boxing and kickboxing now. You're just making it so people can't do that. If the guy can't get up, didn't Habib's whole career show this? If he can't get up, tough shit. That's his problem, mate. He better get ready for 4 more rounds of being held down the whole time, using all his energy trying to get up. That's his fault. Khabib's doing something good there. That should be allowed. And at the same time, if you could have caught Khabib right away with a knockout, you might have knocked him out. That's the beauty of the sport right there, mate. So I want it all to be available. So I hate this shit where people are just sitting around. I just decided this should be banned. This is the problem with this generation. You know what makes greatness is you identify something lacking or that you don't like in yourself, you work on it and you transcend and make it something strong. So it's no longer a weakness that you project onto the world. They just look at the world and go, I don't like this, so everyone else must change. The world must change. Ban it. Don't allow it. That's whack. That's not the way that we're about expression. That's what games are. At their highest, I've said this quote before, at their highest possible level, esports games are vehicles for human potential. They are to show what you are capable of as a human. If that means you are a Picasso with your hands, like Calist may one day end up being, or Forgiven was, I want to see you show me your hands. If you're someone who's a genius like Mithy, where even when his hands didn't exist anymore, he was like fucking Professor X controlling the team in the map. Yeah, come in, Storm. It's time to come forwards for the. That's fucking insane shit, bro. I love that. I want it all to exist, all at the same time.
I'm with you.
I like the way at the end you were like, see, if I want it all. I want it all, Yamato. I want it all.
I'm with you 100%, bro. I think that's the best part about League in the terms about development is it's like I spoke to Froxon at like a Riot party when I was in London for the World Finals, like the one of the main devs of like basically League patching and so forth. And they basically never want to be in a position where they like create those heavy-handed solutions like changing the XP of the minions because they don't want to create too much convolution in terms of what the game is. And at the same time, they don't want to remove the opportunity for teams and players to kind of break the game and reinvent the game. Like we've had so many moments where we had, for example, the funnel meta. We had Wunder playing like the support's top in terms of just going spell thieves and roaming and abandoning top. Like I think those little capsules of like breaking the game, I think is very, very fun. I think over the long term, I do think that if the meta forever was support's top and all we saw like Jannas with spell thieves edge, I think the game would slowly die. But I think it is good that there is opportunity for that in the game. That's why, like, I welcome a change, even though I think the Khan thing is weird. It is bold enough to maybe, make us rethink some things that all players have taken for granted. The same thing with Fearless. It's like Fearless in itself removes from the precision, but maybe in this whole Fearless experiment now in winter, maybe, just maybe, we will get some new champions that we haven't seen before, or some new elements that will be added to the overall game, because things just spread like wildfire. It's like NIP did the lane swap with Fortic, right? And all of a sudden everyone picked that up and it just changed the whole meta game. Or where Keria played AD's bot and everyone was scrambling at the World Championship to kind of catch up. Like I love that part of the game. I love it. And I wonder sometimes if you and me are in the minority, because I know from Riot side, they're trying to make the game, like in the esports sense, be as accessible as possible. But when I see something new, I am very interested. But maybe for the average viewer, they're thinking, oh, this lane swap, I don't fucking understand this. I never play lane swap games in my own games. But honestly, on my end, it's like, you mentioned Michael Jordan, but it's like, I'm not thinking about how I dunk. It's like I don't want the rim to be lower because I can't jump, like I'm happy to see greatness unfold with things that maybe, at the time I cannot execute myself. That's for me the beauty of sport. Exactly how you mentioned it and how you said it is like it's the measurement of man. That's what competition is, against one another in a playing field that should be even with opportunities. Don't get me started on the blue side, red side, because that's a whole ass fucking rabbit hole. So I'm gonna end it there.
I'll even say as well, that's where, in my opinion, Riot's always been short-sighted, because anytime an evolution happens, all those ones you listed, they basically halted those being in the game. They just changed the game so it could not be done anymore because they didn't want that to be the way it went. By the way, there's been a million like these. I referenced one earlier. There used to be one back in the day in like season 4, 2014, where CLG and all the teams, you would just go on opposite sides of the map and push down the first tower. That's all you would do at the beginning of the game. Then there was a meta where you had like double jungle. You would go and do that one. Then there was the meta where there was like fucking, I can't remember the item now. What's that like burning thing as the fucking jungler that you would build up over time and eventually it would get super OP, the jungle item. I forget what it's called. Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No. It was like Wriggles.
Flare something?
Feral Flare. One that used to farm on like a Shyvana jungle or something like that. That used to be OP. As soon as these things come in the game, Riot just immediately goes, that's not how you play the game. And they get rid of Get that back. Put that back in the toy box. Like some fucking naughty kindergarten teacher. And what they don't get is, like a kindergarten teacher, well, yeah, you're just dealing with little kids. You know, there's adults in the room, right? They know what they fucking do with these tools. So here's the problem you have. In the short term, you're right, Yamato. Some fans not going to understand the depth of a lane swap or why it's genius or what was different even about how they drafted, knowing they might do a lane swap and then how they caught. Here's the other thing. People act like, this is what I can't handle about Mark C and fucking Captain Flowers' bozo take. You act like every single time it's guaranteed the lane swap works. You don't know lane swaps then, bro. You don't know what you're talking about. The reason why that whole G2 BDS thing was like, did they leak it? It's because the way they guessed where the people would be to get the clue that it was the lane swap immediately was so on the fucking nose. It's bonkers. Like, if that was a coincidence, holy fuck. And I've heard it wasn't. I've heard it was a leak. And that they just knew, and that's why they went to exactly that spot. And then they spotted out the correct one. Because remember, you don't just go to the other lanes, dickheads, out of the fucking fountain. You fake it. You go on the map, you set up like you're level 1, and then what you're going to try and do was trick them that you went back to top off the like fog of war, but really you went bottom, and then suddenly they show on lane. Too late. He can't just back instantly, can he? He has to just play 1v2, and we know the way that one plays out. Then the junglers can come, all the rest of that shit. So first of all, it's certainly not like some easy shit you can execute. Spoiler, loads of NA teams couldn't even fucking execute. I don't know why. By the way, plenty of LEC teams couldn't do it either. That's all good. So the idea that like we have to kick it out the game. Also in the short term, say the fan doesn't understand it. Bro, I watch like NFL. I don't understand all the tactics the first few years I watched. How would I? How would I understand what the outright is and how you set it up and why they do like this call, etc.? By the way, if you even watch modern soccer used to just be 4-4-2. You bang it up the pitch, you get it to the striker, and he takes a shot from anywhere. Now it's all this shit of like 7 million passes of build-up play, and you've got to have like people in certain zones, and then you're playing like you're not even playing one-on-one half the time as a position. So that already a fan can't understand that. He just understands goals and who loses, and people tell him when to cheer. The point is, you want depth to the game because that's what keeps fans in the game. Depth is what can allow you to talk about a game forever. If you only have, think about this, if you only have what a guy who's been watching for 1 year or 1 week can understand, then what the fuck are you going to be enjoying 10 years in? It's going to be really simplistic and boring by definition. So you will appeal to him short term, but that's why you'll then lose fans. You'll lose all the legacy fans. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.